Good day, campers. Today's project is I'm going to replace this little piece of reinforced, flexible half-inch hose used by a lot of RV manufacturers. The problem with that hose is that it's not exactly the same size as PEX, but the RV manufacturers are using PEX fittings, and this hose over time tends to want to leak a little bit. This is the last piece of this hose I have left in my camper, and I've noticed that it seems to want to drip a little bit when I'm flushing my tanks. This is such a small, simple little project that I thought I would use it to show some of the basics of working with PEX B, which is the PEX used in RVs. First thing I want to do is talk a little bit about the tools that I'm going to be using. All of these tools are available from Amazon. There are links in the description to these tools. First and foremost, this is a crimping tool for the rings used to crimp the PEX line to the PEX fittings. Second is a pipe cutter. This is used for a lot of different types of pipe. You can cut PVC, and I use it mostly for cutting PEX. The third tool is kind of handy. This is a tool specifically made for cutting the rings when you have to remove a piece of PEX line from a fitting. You can do it other ways, different types of cutters and all of that. Chew on it and work on it. This tool works extremely well. Now, as far as the project that I'm actually going to do, you'll notice that this piece of line kind of has a bend in it and moves over towards the wall. That's the reasoning that the RV manufacturers will tell you to justify this flexible hose. There's places where the PEX will not bend enough, so to make the PEX do it, it takes more fittings. More fittings take more time and cost more money. Since I'm repairing my own, I can use the extra time, and this is where I'm going to show you the first little trick for using PEX in an RV. So the trick is I use a heat gun to soften the PEX so that I can bend it permanently in the direction that it needs to go. It will heat, become flexible, then you can move it, kind of hold it in place while it cools, and then it will hold its shape. You'll notice that I've put a fitting in the open end. That's to help the PEX hold its shape so that when I bend it to get the curve in it that I want, it does not disfigure the end where I'm going to put the fitting. This will be kind of hot to the touch. Sometimes I wear gloves. Today I'm not. Now I'm going to hold it in this shape while it cools. I'm bending it in such a way because I have the 90 degree is going to point up to where I'm going to connect it. Don't need much bend. I'm going to test fit this and see how it does. Now that I have a curve in my piece of PEX that matches the black hose, Now I can actually remove the old plumbing. So the first thing to do, of course, is I'm going to cut the PEX coming down as close to the fitting as I can. I could heat this and remove it, but I want the line to be a little bit shorter anyway to accommodate all the angles involved here. The next step is to cut the ring. We don't have a lot of room in here. Normally what this tool is meant to do is you would cut this way, which I can't do because I'm going to be up against the wall. So I'm going to cut it twice, cutting actually in the same way that it's crimped. All I did was just cut the head off the crimp. Then I'll get a screwdriver and pry that open. If you cut it the other way, it actually leaves you a much bigger opening, and the ring is a lot easier to get a hold of. Once it's loose, then you can just spin it and pull it back out of your way. Now this is another application where I use my heat gun. You can cut this with a box cutter, but if you do, you can damage the fitting. If I heat it with my heat gun, it'll make it soft and it'll pull right off. With it heated, we just pull it right straight off and no damage to our fitting. Now we'll install our new piece of line. Be sure to remember to put your crimp on first. Put the hose in and connect up. Now our new hose is positioned in the same place as the old hose, but now it's PEX, hooked to PEX fittings. You'll notice that I used a brass 90 degree, not a plastic. These are a little bit more reliable. Let's talk briefly about these crimp rings. You'll notice that the ring has this little section here. This is what we crimp. This opening in the crimp tool is what actually grabs a hold of that ring, and then you squeeze the tool to crimp it. And the last step is actually to crimp the rings. This area is a little tight. You'll find a lot of the things that, the places where you're working in an RV, space is a little bit tight. So this is my opening, as I said before. This is my crimp ring. Sometimes you may have to open the tool a little extra to get it to grab a hold. Make sure the ring is as close to the end of the line as possible. And when it's crimped correctly, the crimp tool will release. And the second crimp. And that finishes the little project. We did this little by little, step by step, for anybody that might be a little bit of a beginner, not comfortable with doing this. Now you know how it's done. As usual, thanks for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe.